On our 6th wedding anniversary, my husband was celebrating the birthday of his female assistant. She posted about it on social media, proudly displaying a photo of herself wearing a ring. The man in the photo was unmistakably my husband, Sean, and the ring was clearly our wedding band. I silently liked her post and left a brief congratulatory message. It wasn't long before he called me. "Can you stop being so petty? It was just a game of truth or dare. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? Emily just liked the ring. It's nothing more than a cheap piece of jewelry." I didn't respond, just hung up the phone, and went to the hospital for an abortion. This was the child he had always dreamed of. Chapter 1. A few days ago, I discovered I was pregnant. I had envisioned revealing the news to Sean on our anniversary, a moment meant to be filled with joy. I waited for him all day, but he never showed up. It wasn't until I stumbled across Emily's social media post that I realized today was her birthday and he was with her, celebrating. What shocked me even more was that he had given her our wedding ring as a gift, a piece of jewelry that had once symbolized our vows. I felt no tears and no anger. I simply went to the hospital alone. The doctor's voice cut through my thoughts. "Have you discussed this with your husband? Are you certain you don't want this child?" I nodded firmly, my resolve unshakable. "I'm sure. He wouldn't want it either." After the procedure, I returned home, my stomach growling in protest. I hadn't eaten anything all day, waiting for Sean to celebrate our anniversary with me. The fridge was nearly empty, leaving me with no choice but to make a bowl of instant noodles. Just as I finished, Sean walked in, a broad smile on his face, cradling a beautifully wrapped designer bag that caught the light. He glanced disdainfully at my empty bowl, remnants of noodle soup clinging to the sides. "Mia, you're a grown woman. Stop being so dramatic. There are far better things to eat, yet you choose instant noodles." I replied, my voice barely hiding the bite. Wearing my loose pajamas emblazoned with a cartoon mouse, I felt the weight of his judgment when he added, "Mia, you're not a child anymore. Dress more maturely. It's time to grow up, go change." I chose to ignore him and quietly began washing the dishes, the sound of running water filling the silence. This place was so isolated that food delivery rarely reached us. My body still throbbed from the procedure, and the thought of preparing an elaborate meal to celebrate its end felt utterly exhausting. Noticing my silence, he handed me a small, elegantly wrapped bag. "Here, this is for you, our anniversary gift." I opened it to reveal a bottle of jasmine-scented perfume, its delicate fragrance wafting up. However, the bottle bore the word sample prominently, revealing that the real gift, presumably the designer bag, was meant for Emily. I forced a smile and pushed the perfume back toward him. "Why don't you give the perfume to Emily too? I'm allergic to jasmine, I can't stand the smell." His expression flickered with irritation, eyebrows furrowing at my words. But I remained unfazed. The next day marked his mother's birthday. He had forgotten it last year, and I felt the need to remind him. "Don't forget tomorrow's date. Make sure you remember this time." Sean let out a derisive laugh. "Mia, it's just an anniversary. No need to act so spoiled. We've been married long enough. Can't you grant us both a little personal space?" Seeing his displeasure, I responded with quiet composure. "I'm not being spoiled. I was merely reminding you that tomorrow is your mother's birthday." After I spoke, the room fell into a heavy silence, thick with unspoken words. He placed a hand on my shoulder, a brief moment of intimacy. "Wait for me to finish my shower. They say that couples who fight often make up in bed." He leaned in, trying to kiss and hug me, even pressing a gentle kiss to my forehead. But I pulled away, a frown creasing my forehead. "Go shower. I'm heading to bed." His face contorted in frustration. "What's going on with you?" I looked him in the eye, my voice steady. "I recall that you're not particularly fond of intimacy." I had overheard him once on the phone, casually saying, "Mia's getting old and dull. Kissing her feels like kissing a dead fish, nothing like you young and exciting." The truth was, I had just undergone an abortion. I had no energy left to maintain the facade of a happy couple. The following morning, as Sean finished his workout and prepared to head to the bathroom, his phone began ringing incessantly. My head felt foggy, likely from the previous night's stress and lack of sleep. "Sorry, Sean's in the shower. Could you call back later?" I said, trying to sound polite. I hung up just as Sean emerged, catching sight of me with his phone. His expression darkened. "What did you say?" Finding his sudden tension amusing, I replied. "I told her to call back later." He shot me a hard look, a mixture of frustration and unease clouding his features. Chapter 2. Sean took me shopping for a birthday gift for his mother. Suddenly, a heavy downpour started. He received a call, his expression tightening. Emily was at the hospital, her voice filled with anxiety. We'd just arrived at an intersection, with one road leading toward the hospital. As the rain intensified, Sean's face grew dark. "Did you bring an umbrella?" he asked. Before I could reply, he handed me one. "Get out now. Emily has an emergency. Wait for me at the bus stop." He added, "I'll come back after it's handled. I can go with you." In this downpour, waiting at the bus stop wouldn't leave me any drier than following him. He seemed annoyed. "Mia, don't you see Emily needs support right now? Could you just be considerate for once and stop acting so petty?" When I fell silent, his tone hardened. "Get out." The small umbrella barely shielded me from the relentless rain, and I quickly became drenched, my head beginning to spin. When I woke, I found myself in a hospital bed. The doctor lectured me sternly. "Young lady, you just had an abortion. You need to take proper care of yourself afterward. These complications come from poor recovery. Take this seriously, or you may face long-term consequences." I nodded, hearing his words clearly. Alone in the quiet room, I started scrolling through social media to pass the time and came across a new post from Emily. Another photo with Sean, captioned, "Being away from home is hard, but having you by my side makes it easier." "How sweet," I commented. "Showing off again?" Sean's colleagues began to tease in the comments. "Is this the official Mrs. Sean reveal?" Sean and I had been married for over 6 years, yet few people knew. I remembered those early days when he was just starting his business. He was always out drinking with clients, especially during winter, which took a toll on his health. I used to worry and would brave the cold to bring him homemade ginger tea to warm his stomach. But he would scold me for interrupting and call me meddlesome, saying I was disrupting his work. Still, I never stopped making him lunches. Soon, I saw that Sean had liked Emily's post and left a comment. "Take care of yourself. Don't push too hard at work." He didn't say anything to correct the assumptions of his colleagues. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, Sean called, immediately questioning why I hadn't told him about Emily's condition. "Why didn't you say anything? You know her stomach is sensitive. And then you go and post that kind of comment, stirring things up. Delete it now." That morning, Emily hadn't mentioned feeling unwell. Drained from his scolding, I hung up on him. After finishing my 4-drip, I returned home and sent him a message reminding him about his mother's birthday. Sean's mother had never liked me much. She often said she wished he'd marry someone like Emily, someone beautiful, capable, and useful to the family business. At family events, it was always Emily who stood beside him. Thinking they'd part ways eventually and feeling too unwell myself, I decided not to attend. While indulging in a hot pot, I received a message from him asking why I hadn't shown up yet. I hesitated before replying. "It's best if Emily fills in for me. I'm really not well enough to go." His voice on the other end was heated. "So, you're serious? Just go ahead and let Emily take over then. If that's how you feel, let's divorce." I replied calmly. "All right. Let's set a time to do that." Chapter 3. In the end, I couldn't avoid it. I was dragged to his mother's birthday celebration as Sean's wife but felt entirely invisible. Emily greeted the guests warmly. Sean glanced my way but quickly turned back. Bored, I sipped my drink. Someone raised a toast to Sean, and Emily gracefully accepted it for him. They were even dressed in matching outfits, giving them a perfectly coordinated look. One of the guests joked, "Is this Mrs. Sean?" Sean said nothing, and everyone assumed it was true. Emily blushed and took another sip, and Sean motioned for me to take her place. Since I had just undergone an abortion, drinking could be dangerous for me. But the guest insisted, and Sean, hands in pockets, smirked. Only my wife doesn't have to drink for me. This was his way of retaliating after I brought up the divorce. I didn't drink, I just set the glass on the table and walked away. Tears filled Emily's eyes as she took the drink in my place, gently pulling on Sean's sleeve. "It's fine, I can handle it." But in the next moment, her drink spilled. Sean grabbed my arm, ordering me to clean it up. I looked at him with cold disdain. "Clean it up," he repeated, his tone menacing. Breaking free from his grip, I turned to leave. "Mia, if you walk out of here now, we're done." Without looking back, I nodded. "Fine." Later that night, I drafted a divorce agreement and sent it to him. But he didn't come home that night, leaving no opportunity for discussion. The next morning, the doorbell rang. I thought he had come back to talk things over. Instead, it was Sean's mother. She handed me a thermos. "Sean was out late last night. As his wife, it's your duty to take care of him. He drank too much yesterday. Make sure he has some chicken soup this morning to recover." I couldn't help but laugh to myself. If it weren't for her birthday celebration, he wouldn't have been drinking at all. But since we hadn't formally split, I had no choice but to play along. Taking the thermos, I told her, "All right, I'll bring it to him." But I had no intention of doing so. Feeling hungry myself, I poured the chicken soup into a pot, added some noodles, and cooked it. It warmed me up nicely and filled me just enough. For 6 years, I had been making lunch for Sean. Meanwhile, Emily would always brag about my cooking on social media. One day, she even messaged me on WeChat, saying, "Sis, your cooking is amazing." I suddenly realized I'd been preparing lunch for Sean for 6 years, but it was Emily who had been eating it. That realization led to a bitter argument with Sean. He had looked at me with exasperation and said, "Do you really think your cooking is that great? It's a miracle anyone bothers to eat your leftovers. Stop bringing that stuff to the office. It's embarrassing." I was hurt, replying, "If you didn't like it, you could have just told me." After that, I stopped making lunch for him altogether. Why should I, when he wouldn't appreciate it? Instead, I started enjoying my cooking myself. That night, just as I lay down to sleep, Sean returned, slipping quietly into the house. The next morning, I found his white shirt left in the bathroom, stained with lipstick marks. I tossed the shirt into the washing machine and habitually checked the pockets, only to find a receipt for a couple's suite at a 5-star hotel. In the past, I might have taken that receipt straight to him, crying, asking for an explanation. But now, it didn't matter anymore. I just hoped he wouldn't bring back anything else from his escapades. I turned around and saw him standing behind me, staring with a nervous look on his face. Surprised, I put a hand to my chest. "What's the matter?" He looked tense, his gaze darting away as he stammered, "It's not what you think. We just had a good time for Mom's birthday, that's all." Chapter 4. Emily, as my assistant, helped me fend off some drinks. She got drunk, so I took her to a hotel. Worried about her safety, I stayed the night, but nothing happened between us. Hearing his explanation, I shrugged indifferently to show I understood. As I brushed my teeth, he leaned against the doorway, watching me. "Mia, you don't believe me." With my mouth full of foam, I mumbled, "Of course I do. I believe you." I added with a smile, hoping to ease his doubt about my trust. Later that evening, Sean insisted I dress up and accompany him to a company dinner. I refused. Why should I go to your company gathering? Go by yourself. There were so many times in the past when I'd wanted him to bring me to his company, to let everyone see me as his wife. But now, it didn't seem important, especially since we were about to part ways. Sean held my hand. You're my wife. What's wrong with coming along? Under his insistence, I went. It was my first time in Sean's office, decorated in dark tones of black and gray, though it had pink plush toys scattered around, along with feminine hygiene products. It felt oddly out of place. In the past, I'd only ever delivered his lunch to the front desk, where the staff knew me as Sean's dream girlfriend. People thought I was dreaming of marrying Sean, not knowing that we were already married. But when I opened one of the drawers and saw a small personal item inside, I paused. This place looked less like an office and more like a shared personal space between him and someone else. There was even a framed photo of the two of them on his desk. I took a step back. Looks like this isn't a good time. I'll wait outside. Send me the dinner address, and I'll meet you there. Seeing the mess, he scrambled to clear everything off the desk, stuffing things into the trash. Emily wasn't feeling well and changed her pants here. I nodded. Got it. As I turned to leave, he grabbed my hand. Remember to come to the dinner later. I arrived at the venue on time. It was already full of important figures from the company, including Sean's close friend, Ray. Only Ray and Emily knew about my relationship with Sean. When I opened the door, I saw Sean, his face a bit flushed, standing protectively in front of Emily. All right, don't tease the young lady. Ray smirked. Protective of your sister-in-law, huh, Sean? The sound of the door opening made everyone look over. I paused, frozen in place. Seeing me, Sean immediately set down his drink and walked over, trying to take my bag, but I gently refused. If Emily was considered the sister-in-law, it wouldn't be appropriate to announce I was his wife. Some colleagues who didn't know me began to ask, "Who's this, Sean?" Before he could answer, I quickly replied, "I'm his distant aunt." I turned to him with a smile. "Isn't that right, nephew?" A few of them looked at me with admiration. "Wow, you look so young for an aunt. Can we add you on WeChat?" I smiled and accepted their requests, ignoring Sean's darkening expression. Throughout the gathering, everyone referred to Emily as the sister-in-law, and she made no effort to correct them. Sean stayed quiet, almost as if he agreed with the title. After the party, several young guys offered to escort me home, and I cheerfully accepted. No wonder Sean favored Emily. He'd been enjoying both the stability of a wife and the excitement of a lover for the past 6 years. When Sean tried to step in, I stopped him. "No need, make sure you take your sister-in-law home." Chapter 5. When I got home, I turned off all the lights and prepared to sleep. In the past, knowing Sean was afraid of the dark, I would have left a nightlight on for him. He stood at the foot of the bed, frowning, pressing his fingers to his temples. "Why did you deny our relationship tonight?" I yawned. "I'm really tired. We've always kept our marriage a secret. It wouldn't be good for people to find out. And now that we're about to split up, announcing it would only complicate things. Plus, you wouldn't want her to be seen as the other woman, right? In situations like tonight, if the two of you keep appearing together, people will definitely talk." He glared. "You're incredibly generous." Since the incident where I found out he'd taken someone else to a hotel, I'd been sleeping in a separate room. Tonight, he came into my room, setting his phone on the nightstand. When the screen lit up, I caught a glimpse of Emily's selfie in her pajamas. I hadn't intended to look, it was just an accidental glance. If he noticed, I'd probably be in for another round of scolding. I closed my eyes, trying to ignore the noise of him washing up. But the sound of running water and his loud movements grated on my nerves. When he came out, drying his hair, I couldn't help but snap. "You're being loud." Can't you use the other bathroom? We both froze. This was the first time I'd ever spoken to him this way. He looked at me sadly. You didn't wait up for me tonight. I rolled my eyes. You always come home late. People need rest, you know. In the past, I would leave a light on, hoping that within its warmth, we'd find a way back to each other. But now, the light that once brought warmth only disrupted my sleep. The room fell silent. Then, he approached me, his damp hair dripping onto me, and his eyes never left mine. Looking at his lips, I couldn't shake the thought of him with Emily. The nausea rose within me. Unable to hold it in, I rushed to the bathroom, leaning over the sink, dry heaving. A shadow stood beside me. Sean offered me a glass of water. As I took it, our fingers brushed, and the thought of where his hands had been filled me with disgust. I turned the faucet on, scrubbing my hands vigorously. Every time he stepped closer, I backed away. After a long silence, he finally asked, "Could you be pregnant? You look like you have strong symptoms." I nodded slightly. I was. His face lit up briefly with surprise. Then I continued. But it's already gone. Sean's expression darkened instantly. He demanded to know why, his voice tinged with frustration. I met his gaze, calm and steady. Because you're not fit to be a father. Without another word, he stormed out, slamming the door behind him, leaving me to sleep peacefully. In the middle of the night, I received a call from a bar employee. "Are you Mrs. Sullivan?" Since we'd kept our marriage a secret all this time, and given that we were on the verge of splitting, I didn't feel like explaining. I let him believe whatever he wanted. I denied the title, hung up, and went back to bed. Finally, I had a night's sleep without him disturbing me. Chapter 6. The next morning, Emily sent a photo. Sean lay in bed, Emily nestled in his arms. I saved the photo as evidence for the divorce. After getting ready, I went to work, busy all morning. When I checked my phone after work, I saw several messages from Sean. "Can I pick you up for lunch? I miss your cooking. Can you make lunch?" It was the first time Sean offered to pick me up. I had asked countless times before, but he always used work as an excuse. Or he'd say, "My company isn't stable yet. Announcing our marriage isn't good for us. Don't think too much." Looking back, I was foolish to believe his reasons, thinking he was a celebrity needing privacy. I replied, "I'm busy at lunch. Not coming home." He called immediately. "I'll wait at your office. Let's have lunch together." I frowned. I really don't have time. But he was waiting outside my office after work, his tall, handsome figure attracting the attention of many colleagues. I kept my head down, trying to avoid him. But he called out loudly, "Mia!" A shy intern looked at me asking, "Is he your boyfriend? He's so handsome." Sean stood there silent. I awkwardly shook my head. "Of course not." The intern tugged at my sleeve. "Who is he then? Can I add him on WeChat?" I smiled at Sean. "Sure, he's my distant relative's son. Just call him nephew." Then I waved at Sean. "Come here, give this lady your WeChat." Sean's face darkened, glaring at me. That morning, a sensational news story had gone viral online. Sean and Emily's love story was being hailed as a match made in heaven, with people calling them a perfect couple, destined for each other. Online, they were seen as childhood sweethearts, and I was painted as the villain who ruined their perfect love story. Some netizens pitied me as the unlucky ex-wife. Regardless, we had become the protagonists of a melodramatic tale, each twist making people sigh. Fortunately, the photos online only showed Sean and Emily together, including the one she had sent me that night, full of innuendo. As the intern walked away, I kept my distance from Sean, afraid of being photographed. He suddenly stopped and asked, "Mia, what are you doing? Is walking with me that embarrassing?" I glared at him. Can you keep your voice down? What's there to be proud of? I didn't want to be attacked by netizens. Online, people called me a foolish wife, saying I deserved to stay with this scumbag forever. It was vicious. After the breakup, I felt a newfound sense of freedom. No more whispers in the night or glaring lights in the room. Sean wanted to start over, looking at me with longing. I'm sorry for saying I was tired of you. It wasn't true. I didn't care, seeing a message from my boss asking if I wanted a job transfer. I replied without hesitation. I agree. Sean talked about our future, having another child. I had decided to move abroad for a new project. I wanted to see the world and experience better things. Chapter 7. Back home, Sean was still excitedly talking about our future. If we have a child, I'll buy another house. We can have a nursery. I took out the divorce papers. We sat across from each other, Sean looking up. What's this? Divorce? No way. I couldn't help but laugh. Don't you want to bring Emily into the house? Would you let her be a homewrecker? If Sean looked closely, he'd see the lipstick stain on his collar. He glared. Why do you always push me away? Sean, you need to understand, you're the one who chose to be with Emily. My eyes moved to his collar, the red stain glaring. He glanced down, confused. I said, sign it. Let's not drag this out. I went to my room, closing the door. He banged on it. Mia, come out and listen. It's not what you think. That night, nothing happened with her. I was just angry about you wanting to abort our child, so I went to the bar. I didn't go looking for her. His constant knocking annoyed me. I opened the door. I know. I sent Emily to get you. So, there's nothing to explain. I never misunderstood you. We're separating. Whenever you're with her, I don't care. When we used to drive together, Emily always sat in the front seat, smiling smugly through the rearview mirror. Mia, sorry, I get car sick in the back. You don't mind, right? Later, I would angrily ask Sean. Why do you let her sit in the front? What about the wife's seat you made for me? He had set that seat for me. He frowned. Why are you so annoying? It's just a seat. She's my assistant, it's convenient for work. Can't you stop being so sensitive and petty? So now, I didn't want to argue anymore. As I packed my essentials and left the divorce papers, he had already left. Recently, a comic about Sean and Emily's story had gone viral. Sean slowly realized their relationship had become a public spectacle, a tragic love story. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment, perfect for one person. Sean kept messaging, asking if I needed a ride after work. It was something I had always wanted, but now I didn't care. Every time he said something, I replied, when are we divorcing? Until he got tired. He waited outside my office, and I tried to avoid him. He looked tired, with stubble and weary eyes. He grabbed my arm. Can we talk? I put on a hat and mask. Fine, let's find a quiet place. We went to our old place, decorated with balloons and flowers. A sign read, Happy Anniversary. He pleaded. Don't leave, please. I spent so long setting this up. Let's celebrate our time together, okay? He looked like a pitiful puppy, desperately seeking approval. I quietly watched him, pulling out the divorce papers. All right. Sign this first. But he avoided the topic. Try this cake, I made it myself. I didn't want to eat, but he insisted. Suddenly, I snapped. Will you stop? I have proof of your affair. I can sue you. Sean panicked, dropping the cake. No. Let's not separate, please. Nothing happened between us. I'm clean. Absolutely nothing. My gaze turned cold. You know, I find you disgusting. Filthy. Did you know, that night Emily took that photo, I wasn't nauseous from pregnancy. I was sickened by you. Your presence made me ill. He frantically stripped off his shirt, showing his muscular body. Then check me. I'm really clean. He rushed to the bathroom, dousing himself in cold water. I'm really clean, see? I sighed, leaving the place. Chapter 8. In the following days, Sean brought me lunch, but I never touched it. As soon as he left, I threw it away. Colleagues asked why I didn't eat, and I joked. Want it? It's yours. They happily took it. Sean kept bringing food, and I kept giving it away. One day, the security guard told him, "Young man, stop bringing food. She doesn't eat it." Sean's eyes reddened, asking, "Is it not good enough? If it's not to your taste, I'll redo it. Tell me what you like, I'll learn." I told him, "It's not that I don't like the food. I just don't want to eat what you bring." It hit him hard, like 6 years ago. Sean stopped bringing food and started waiting outside my office, following me home. He said, "I know you're embarrassed to be with me. I've dealt with Emily's posts. They won't affect you." I sighed. "Sean, go home." Tears welled in his eyes. "No, I won't leave." Rain or shine, day or night, he stayed outside. Seeing he wouldn't sign the divorce papers, I filed for divorce. "You have a lot of stuff at home. Don't you want it?" The things at home were gifts from Sean, designer bags, and expensive clothes. They meant nothing to me now. I used to cherish them because they were from him. Now, I didn't care. I said, "Throw them away." He flinched. For a long time, Sean didn't bother me. One day, I heard he was sick. His mother called. "Mia, you've been our daughter-in-law for 6 years. Even if Sean has his faults, can't you see him since he's sick?" I was abroad, planning to immigrate. Remembering how his mother treated me, I found it hard to be kind. But I agreed. "All right." When I returned, Sean was waiting outside my place. Seeing me, he hugged me tightly, tears in his eyes. "Where have you been? I've been looking for you." I gently pushed him away. "You're still sick." He had a fever patch on his forehead. His mother and Ray took him back to the hospital. Lying in bed, Sean looked at me with tearful eyes. I handed him the divorce papers. "Sign it." Sean shook his head, refusing. His mother cried. "Mia, how can you be so heartless?" Looking at him, I smiled bitterly. He's thinking of Emily, not me. If this treatment doesn't work, try another hospital. I'm not a doctor. An adult who can't take care of himself isn't my responsibility. Clinging to me won't help. Please don't bother me again. Chapter 9. As I turned to leave, Sean grabbed my hand. I bought back the ring. Seeing the wedding ring on his hand, I felt heavy. I had pawned it. He excitedly said, "Do you know, our wedding rings were unique, but I found a third identical one. Isn't that fate?" I raised my hand, showing my empty finger. "Sean, I pawned that ring." His eyes dimmed. "Really?" He forced a smile. "Does my love mean so little?" I scoffed. "Sean, I remember clearly, you gave our wedding ring to Emily first." From that moment, I had no reason to wear it. On the day of the divorce, Sean wore a dark suit, holding roses, with the ring in his pocket. I looked at him, puzzled. He smiled weakly. "I'm not here to propose, but to divorce. A bit formal. I hope you accept these flowers." I refused. "Carrying flowers is inconvenient." He froze. Entering the Civil Affairs office, the sky was still dark. When we finished, it was bright. The sun shone brightly. Emily's social media was quiet. She deleted all photos with Sean. Sean fired her. Emily got married and divorced. 3 years later, I met her in Los Angeles. Her eyes were red, dragging a large suitcase. She had married soon after our divorce, but we sat calmly in a cafe. She told me, "I divorced too. My husband cheated with his secretary, ruining my life." I sipped my coffee, listening. History had repeated itself for her. She paused, looking at me, her voice hoarse. "Mia, I'm sorry. If you're willing, you have a chance to reconcile. He's been looking for you, loving you more than we thought. If you're single, can you give him a chance?" I smiled at Emily. "No. He's trash. I don't take back old things." Emily's face changed. I knew Sean was using her to get information about me. "Emily, if you really feel sorry, don't tell anyone where I live. Here, I had cats, dogs, and a warm home. Sometimes I went to a bar, ordered whiskey, and watched handsome men. Life was good. Sunshine, beaches, waves. I believed my future would be even better."